Good morning. This is Denny Nkemontoh from Denny's Workshop, and today I'm going to be walking you through a demo on how to do alcohol ink landscapes with birch trees. And if you look right behind me, you'll see an example of a large piece that I did. Today I'm going to demonstrate with just a small piece, and I'm not used to doing this online, so please excuse any uh, faux pas or things that I have to repeat. So here we go. I'm going to start with the supply list, and there are a number of things that you need to have. The first thing that you need to have is something to protect your workspace. Now this is just a paper I happen to have that has one wax side. One of the properties of alcohol ink is that it will be absorbed by paper, and so you really want to use something to protect your desktop that will not leak all the way through. You could try wax paper or butcher paper. If you don't have something like that, simply take a garbage bag and open it up and use that underneath. Your paper will need to be either Yupo, which is a synthetic paper that doesn't use any trees and does not absorb a lot. Today I'm just using regular size pieces rather than the huge piece that I did here, simply because I don't have a lot of space at my workshop. I'm using a heavier weight Yupo today, and here's my ream. It is 74-pound cover sheets, so that is better to use that weight than a lighter weight. However, that said, I'm all about exploration. If you don't happen to have Yupo paper, you can either buy it from me, buy it at a craft store, or you can experiment with some photo paper you might have laying around, or really anything else. You'll just get a little bit of a different effect depending on the paper that you have. So again, I'm using Yupo paper. That's spelled Y-U-P-O, and it is now available at virtually any craft store. Okay, you will need cleanup supplies as you go along. I happen to use diaper wipes. If you want to use paper towels, whatever, that's fine. The reason I use diaper wipes is that there is some alcohol in them, and this medium, the alcohol ink cleans up, responds really well to alcohol because it too is alcohol based. Alcohol ink, alcohol based. Okay. Next, you will need rubbing or isopropyl alcohol. Mine happens to be 99%. Anything 50% or above is fine. I have this higher grade simply because it was cheaper than the 50% and I like the way it responds. I pour some undiluted in a small spray bottle. You will need 2 brushes, one narrow for branches and one just a little bit wider to do the trunks of your trees. And again, it depends on the size of your trees as to what width you want to use for your paintbrushes. I am just using cheapo brushes here. You will also need a masking medium. A number of companies do masking medium. The one that I'm most familiar with is Art Masking Fluid by Winsor Newton. Here it is. It comes in white and it comes in an off-white. The off-white is, of course, a little bit easier to see on white paper. Both work great. I also picked up some the other day that I have not tried yet. It was on sale at Black's, and it also is a liquid mask, and it's called Richardson Mediums. So you will find a number of different kinds of masks out there. They all work on the same principle. They they're like rubber cement in that you put them on the paper, you do your painting, and then you can rub them off. And you'll see how this works as we go along. Okay, what have I not talked about? Your alcohol ink. There are a number of different kinds of alcohol ink out there, and I happen to have a fairly large selection. You do not need a selection like this. 5 colors is plenty. Just pick the colors that you want. Very commonly, you can find Jim Holt's Ranger alcohol ink, something like this. Or you can find Pinata. And of course, now that I'm looking for it, I don't see my Pinata. Come on. It's got to be right here. Is this it? Well, you'll see it as we go along, I'm sure. There are also a couple of other brands. It really doesn't matter what you have. The colors and the range of colors is a little bit different for each one. Today we're just playing, we're experimenting, so whatever you have is fine. And you see in my piece that's back there, you don't necessarily have to do colors that are true to life. You can experiment, you can make it crazy wild, whatever you want to do. So I think I'm ready to get started. Let me move my keyboard out of the way here and my extra pens. Oh, did I talk about pens? Yeah, you're going to need at least 2 pens. I have more than 2 here just because I wanted to show you. Micron pens by Sakura are really good. They're archival. They work really well on alcohol ink because they are alcohol based. So are Sharpies. A really nice extra fine, very fine point works well. You might want a medium point if there's something you want a little bit larger. Oh, I had this out because it's brown. You can use colored Micron if you like. I have also recently found that Dollar Tree carries these El Cheapo pens. They're R2s. It's a pack of 3 for $1. They work really great too. So that's another option. And then I use a white pen as well. And the one I prefer is called uni-ball signo. And it writes on just about everything, has a really reliable line. Again, experiment. I know that you might not be able to get out today to use supplies. Use what you have and just play around. In fact, I have this little sheet here. This is cut off from this bigger piece over here. And I just keep these little pieces around to experiment on. You know, does this kind of pen work well on here? Oh, it does. Some pens don't. So it's my mantra. We're here to have fun. We're not going to create a masterpiece. We're learning, we're experimenting, and here we go. I'm moving my keyboard out of the way. I am putting down my big sheet that's going to protect my desktop. I have a page of Yupo here, the heavyweight Yupo. I'm going to put some other things on top. Okay, we are going to start with the masking fluid. I'm shaking it up well. And the idea with masking fluid is whatever you put it on, you're protecting that color, and you're when you take it off later, the original color that's under it will still be there. This is just like the process of batik. So here I have my art masking. I am going to start with my little bit wider brush, and I am going to paint some birch trees on here because later I'm going to add lots of color to this, and I want the birch trees to remain white. So I'm going to try and tip my camera down, and from this point on, you're mostly going to be seeing my hands. That should be a nice break. Let's see what we get here. Oh, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm dipping my my brush into this masking fluid, and for birch trees, I'm doing a forest, so I don't want one line all starting in the same place. I'm going to have some that are closer, some that are a little bit further back. The ones that are further back might be a little bit narrower. I'm not starting anything right at the bottom. I'm going to dip it in again since I talk so much. So I'm just going to start by putting one tree there, just a straight line. And I want another one in the foreground over here. And you know, if your line wobbles a little bit, that is perfectly okay. Because if you look at a real tree, they're not perfect either. They've got knots and all sorts of things. Now I'm going to add another tree a little bit further behind. I turn my brush to the side, and you see my my line is a little bit narrower. So I'm going to just go ahead and quick add in a couple of trees. That one's thicker than I meant, but that's okay. Doesn't really matter. We're just playing, we're having fun, we're learning from the experience. So there I have a number of trees. I'm going to grab my small brush, and I'm just going to make some branches that come off. And remember, branches generally get narrower the further they go. So I am just giving where they join to the tree, I'm giving them a little bit more bulk. You don't have to do the whole branch. We're going to put leaves in here, and they cover part of the branch. So here I am. They don't all have to look the same. Let's see what I can put over here. Some are long, some are short. They might have other things coming off. Okay, oops, I smudged this little bit here with my hand and I rolled some off, so I'm going to quick repair this. This dries really fast. So maybe, I hope you can see this now. The lighting isn't really good. I'm using the colored masking fluid, so you can see I've sort of drawn a forest of trees here. Now, if I was doing snow, since it's snowy out today, I might highlight the tops of mounds of snow. Today I'm going to think of spring, and I'm going to put colors in there, so I'm not putting any white in. If there's something else that you wanted to do white, like, oh, I don't know, a little bunny rabbit in the front, you could draw that in. In fact, since we're experimenting today, I'm going to put a little tiny bunny rabbit in here just to see what it looks like when we're done. And you know what? If it doesn't turn out, well then, it doesn't turn out. But I've got my little bunny in there. Okay, you can hardly see. It's just a little teeny tiny bunny over in that corner. And if I wanted to put my signature in here, I could maybe put my signature in here. I'm just going to put DN in for my initials in this corner. Okay, so everything that I have painted with this paint is going to remain white. I'm going to put the cap back on my fluid. I think that looks pretty good to me. Now we need this to dry. It dries very quickly. You could blow it with a fan or a hair dryer. Word to the wise is that synthetic paper means plastic. If you use an embossing gun or have your blow dryer on a high heat and you put it too close to this paper for too long of a period of time, it's going to act like a styrofoam plate that you've thrown into a bonfire, and it's going to crinkle all up, and you will need to start all over again. So mine is almost dry here. You see it hasn't even been but a couple of minutes. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pick which colors I'm going to use. Let's see. I know I'm going to want some greens, so I kind of like this one. It's called lettuce, but I also want something maybe lighter and something darker. Oh, here's a little brown. I might use a little bit of brown. It's latte. It's a very light brown. Looks like I need to refill some of my colors. I have lots of some things and not quite so much of others. So we have lettuce out here. There's another lettuce. Patino, what's this? Lettuce. I've got lots of lettuce. This is sort of, oh, that's latte again. Oops, touch my face. Have to remember today that we don't touch our faces. That gold is about out. I thought I had another gold here. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of eggplant. And here's a different green. It's mermaid. I don't know. That might be kind of weird. So I might do amethyst, and then I want maybe some sort of pink. Cranberry. That's kind of dark. Well, that's okay. We're going to go ahead and try this. If we don't like it, we can wipe it off. That's one of the wonderful things about alcohol ink, is that if you don't like what you want, you can take a diaper wipe or a paper towel with alcohol, isopropyl alcohol on it, and you can wipe it off or wipe off sections. Lots of cool things you can do. I thought I had a yellow here. Maybe I'll use this. Trying to see if I have any gold left. Okay. Well, what I don't have is blues. And that's amethyst. Where are all my blues? Oh, guys, I guess I didn't plan this part well enough ahead. So I might make, maybe we're going to have a sunset sky. There we go. We're going to use a little bit of pink and a little bit of orange. And we might even throw a little bit of water. Here's what the piñata ones look like. Okay. My white's dry too. This white looks, yes. Okay. So I've got a bunch of inks here. Now, I'm going to take my alcohol that is in my bottle, and I am going to spray it on the paper that I want in the area where I want to start. And I think I may start with the sky. So I'm just going to spray it on this upper part of the paper. And then my sky is going to be darker. Remember, we're going to use the amethyst and the eggplant. And so I'm just going to drip some of this dark color in here. We're going to have a night scene. And let's put a little bit of this one too. And you can see it's going right over the masked area. That's okay. The white is still protected. Now this is where I bring out my my air duster. You can also do this with a straw. I find that I nearly pass out when I use a straw because I blow too hard. So I'm just going to use this, and I am I'm just moving the color around. Okay, well, I got some good dark there. I think I want some more dark. I'm going to put some here, a little bit through here. Now, you can blow this different ways. You can come straight down on it. You can blow to the, whoa, to the right or the left. Now you see, I want to do it until it's pretty much dry, and I'm getting some lines there. Where's my purple? Just going to add some more. A little bit more here. Okay, and I'm going to blow it again. I sort of made a mistake. I wanted leaves up there, so I'm going to put leaves up over there, and we're just going to move some of the blue down here. It's okay if you make a mistake, you just get a new effect. And in fact, I'm going to spray this with alcohol again, just so that you can see what happens if you spray it again. And it's like it pixelates. I really kind of, I don't know if you can see this very well. I like the kind of effect that it gives it sometimes. Okay, so I'm kind of liking that blue, that night sky, although it ran a little bit, so I'm going to move it around a little bit more. Okay, and now I need to add my green since I forgot my green before. And I'm just gonna put random green in here. And I'm gonna put a little bit of latte. Maybe it's getting to fall, or I don't know. I'm just playing. It's okay to leave the covers off in between. It just isn't a really big deal. I'm sort of searching. There's got to be another. Let's put, ooh, look what's happening. I really like this. I'm just going to add a little bit of green. Now, I'm sort of really liking what's happening here. I might blow it just a little bit. See how that changes it? But I'm sort of liking the way this is looking. Ooh, the can gets cold. The more you use the can, the colder it gets. I have 2 cans here just in case. Now you can see how the color's bleeding onto the paper. It's absorbing into the butcher paper, but the wax paper on the bottom will keep it from marring up my desktop. Okay, I kind of like this, but I really wanted a little bit more green up here. We're going to add a little bit more green. And okay, so I'm going to put a little bit more. I want a more sort of, well, we're going to do a little bit of purple just sort of right through here for the background. And again, got that a little bit more sprayed than I wanted to. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to give it a little bit of depth, a little bit of darkness there. I maybe sprayed a little bit too close. I have those lines, but I'm just playing. I'm having a good time. I'm not worrying about it. I can add more layers. I can do all sorts of things to it. Okay, I'm feeling good about that as a basic. We may come back. We may do a little bit more to that. So now I'm going to do the foreground, and I need to spray that with the alcohol ink. Not the alcohol ink, the isopropyl alcohol. And you can see where it touched, that sort of pixelated. That's okay. In fact, I kind of like this pixelated look this time. It looks more like, I don't know, it's just sort of magical. Okay, and you see, I don't know where my blue is. You could put a little river through here or a path or something. I'm going to put just a little river that's going through there. It's meandering along. Ooh, my table is a little bit uneven, so I'm going to try and push this blue back in here. Well, I'm not sure about that. I'm going to grab one of my diaper wipes here and illustrate. If I can get the diaper wipes open, there we go. I'm going to illustrate how I can take some of that off. Ooh. So I'm sort of wiping some of that off because there. Okay, I'm going to put in my pretty bushes now. And I'm going to go with some pink brushes here. And we're going to do some orange. Remember I said you can be sort of crazy. I don't know. What other color do we need here? A little bit of brown. Especially near the river, maybe I want little rocks of some sort. Okay, there are my rocks along the river. Okay, and I'm going to put a few little rocks here and there. Yeah, my table is definitely slanted here. I might want to put something underneath it to slant the colors more. That one. A bag of chocolate chips, how about that? Just to slant it a little bit. Okay, now I think we need a little bit of green here. This is just an awful green, but we're going to put that in. And I don't know. I'm not real excited about this, but I'm going to see if I can get something that looks sort of plant-like growing there. See how I'm moving it up, and some of it has little tendrils. Ooh, yeah, see, I'm making little bushes. Okay, it may not look like much to you right now, but we're on our way. I'm also, I don't know if I have any gold left here, but I'm going to drop some metallic gold on the top just to see what that does. And I was also thinking of putting a little bit of white on it. Let's move this. This gold doesn't move quite as well, but it might give a really neat shine to it when it's done. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and give some more. Oh, this is slate. I thought it said white, but maybe some slate in here along the river too might help. I don't know. I'm just playing, okay? I'm going to put a little bit more water in there because some of this seems to have. Okay, and let's see. Do I have some white? This is white. Let's see if the lid will come off. One thing I'm not very careful about doing, and you should be better at doing it than me, is making sure that the alcohol ink spouts get wiped off before you put the lids back on, so that they don't stick. Okay, now I'm beginning to like this. This white gives it a little bit of a different kind of look. It's firming in there a little bit. You know, like I said, you don't have to have all these colors. I'm just playing. I like to play a lot. I think I'm almost done. I'm going to switch to my other one. That one's too cold. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that's a little bit weird. Maybe I'll add a little bit more green to that. And then we're going to let it dry for a few minutes. And then we'll start in on it with the Micron pen or whatever pen you're using. I'm just going to turn around and look at my other one here. I might want a little bit more solidness there. That looks a little bit wimpy. So I'm just going to add some dots. It's looking a little bit muddy. That's okay. Remember, we're just playing. Hopefully you have more than one sheet of paper, so when you're done, you can try for another one. I really like that pixelated area up at the top. So I'm going to spray it again because there were a couple of areas that sort of lost that. But I am avoiding the flower area. Okay, so we're going to give it just a minute or two to dry. It doesn't take very long at all to dry. I do have one area that's a little bit wetter. And let's see if I can blow that down a little bit. That's by the river. My stones by the river are sort of molten at this point. What do you think, April?
I like it.
It's kind of a muddy mess at the moment, but I don't know. We'll see where it ends up going. And, you know, this is sort of the fun thing is that you can keep moving the alcohol ink around, and even when it's dry, you can reactivate it by spraying the rubbing alcohol on it, and then you can move it again. So it's both the plus side and the scary side. Nothing has to remain permanent, but that also means that if you accidentally get alcohol on it, you might lose that beautiful pattern that you had wanted to save. So you have to be really careful about that. I'm going to try and move this back up. Now, remember that underneath this we have half a dozen trees or so. Ooh, I like that. That looks like little bushes with the tendrils going up. Oh yeah, that's what I was looking for. Well, I didn't get as much of that with the flowers as I wanted, but see, ooh, it's still moving a little bit. Okay, so in just a minute, we're going to start taking the masking fluid. I don't know if you can see this better now. It's pretty dark. I guess I need a light here. We're going to start taking the masking fluid off, and the trees are going to start emerging. And this is the point where we're going to grab our pens. I usually start with my black pen. And I think today I'm going to start by trying my El Cheapo 33-cent R2 pen from Dollar Tree and seeing how that looks. Now, in terms of rubbing off the masking fluid that's underneath this, when I sort of move this around, even though there's color all over, I can see the lines. And you can rub this off either with your finger, or if you have one of those really soft kneading erasers, you can run that across the top too, and that will remove it. So I can see a little bit here. So I know I see this part is dry. So I'm just using my finger and rubbing off the masking fluid. Oh yeah, I've got a couple of branches going there. Now we're going down. Oops, I smeared it. Not the end of the world. You can try and clean it off a little bit with your alcohol ink, or we can go back and we can mask it later or make it part of the tree. Happy mistakes, you know. So, and remember you will want something to clean up with because you do get it on your fingers. And okay, there's my tree. Okay, and let's hold it up and see if we can find another tree. Oh, there, I see a tree back here. I think this was one of the ones up front. And you can see it's really rubbing off like rubber cement. And the fact that I'm getting color on it, what this tells me is that I haven't let it dry long enough. So we might just talk a little bit and let it dry a little bit. And remember that this is all experimenting. It's for fun. This first one is your trial. You can throw it away. You can erase it. You can find the area that you like and cut that part off and use that on a greeting card or as a bookmark, whatever. Your first one is all about learning. It just seems like this. There we go. So there I got a longer branch. Okay, we have two there. I see something here. There's another branch coming here. Yeah, branch to another tree. Here comes the tree. How far down does that tree go? Okay, let's see how far up it goes. That looks like that's about it. Okay, where's the... Oh, it looks like maybe there's a branch. There's something happening over here. And remember again, it does not matter that your tree is not perfectly straight. In nature, things aren't perfectly straight either. And as we go over it with pen, you can add straightness or you can take straightness away. If you guys know me, you know that my hands shake. Oh, that's a branch to another tree. And so I don't even try and go for straight lines because it's just not happening. So I let my shaking be my friend and help me make the piece. And you see again, I've got some color on the trees. Again, that's because I'm recording this. I want to do it right away. I don't want to wait and come back and have to edit this to see the end result. So here's another one. So I would recommend that maybe when you get done painting it, that you set it aside, go have a cup of coffee, and come back to it when it's really dry, and don't jump the process like I'm trying to jump it. I'm holding it up again because when you tilt it certain ways, you can actually see where the masking is. So here I go. Okay, I'm thinking there's one or two more. I see one there. Ah, there we go. This is one of our ones in the front. Oh yeah, this is one of the big ones. Okay, so I think that's all that I put in there. I'm not seeing any other trees. Sometimes when you start working, the other trees start become uncovered. Okay, so the next step for me is making these trees look like birch trees. And I'm just going to try and wipe them off a little bit again. I'm hoping actually that where I got the paint on it, that makes it look like, I don't know, shadows or something. Okay, I'm going to use my cheapo pen again. And I start by just sort of outlining the tree. And you'll see sometimes I'm just inside the white, sometimes I'm outside the white. So here I am. I'm just putting in the tree. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. I hope you can see it. Oh, my fingers are sticking to. You see over on this side, I've started outlining. Well, I'll just keep going. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to make them look more like birch trees. And what is the thing that birch trees have? They have those little lines across them. So there are different ways of making those. I'll show you what I do, and then you can figure out what works for you. Give me just a minute to finish outlining these. By the way, right now I'm not closing them at the tops or bottoms. I'm just doing the sides, and we'll see in a little bit if we want to do the bottoms. Okay, and you'll see down here, it really is crooked. I decided not to fully follow that line. I'm going to make it like there's some bushes around there. So here comes the next one. Look at my shake. My shake makes this. The birch tree is not shaky like this, but it's okay because that's part of my signature. That's what I do. Oh, you guys, you know what I forgot about? I forgot about that little rabbit and my signature. So I'm going to uncover those after I put in some of the other pencil drawings or pen drawings. So for my little lines, I just sort of do a scribble on either side, sort of back and forth. Make sure every branch gets a little bit of it. It can be wider. See, and I don't scribble well. Well, maybe I scribble very well. I don't know. So it's not always even, but if you look at a tree in real life, it's not always even either. And I'm getting some of this black pen on my hand. My hands are going to be a mess when I'm done, but that's nothing new. Okay, so let's come over here. Trying to go as fast as possible so that I'm not boring you with this process. Normally I might take a little bit more time being more deliberate on my lines, but now I just want you to sort of see that. I don't know, I hope that you can see that they're already starting to look like birch trees, and if it goes off the tree, it's okay. This is not reality. We're just giving it the suggestion. Okay, 2 left to go, and then we'll move on to the next part. One more to go. I hope you're having fun. I don't know if you're just watching or if you're trying to do this with me. If you're doing it with me, you can pause as you do, stop and do each part. Okay, so I've got all my trees in here, and now I'm going to go and put some lines to make the trees have more form and not just these big blots. And you can see I'm not being really deliberate. I'm just making sort of swoopy marks. And in fact, I'm going to lay aside my black pen right now because it's not showing up very well here. So I'm going to add some of the white. I think you can see it better. I'm putting it where I had the black and in some additional. And you can see I'm sort of following as well the lines of the ink to give it form. You know, like here where the tree blots sort of touch each other. And I'm suggesting leaves in some areas too. So I'm going to pull this here and here. And you can do as much or as little of this as you want. I want this one to come way back here. Okay, so hopefully you can see this now. I don't know how to make it there. Can you see it? Okay, and I'm also going to come down below here, and I'm going to try and do the suggestion of different flowers here. The same kind of thing. I sort of follow the blots. And I'm just playing. I'm not taking a lot of time, and I don't know how it's going to end up, but I'm doing some straight lines and some curvy lines. And I'm leaving the river alone for right now. And I sort of see a glop where it looks like my hand smeared it. And I think I might, yeah, I'm going to just try and add a little bit of paint there. And hopefully, hopefully I'm not mucking things up. I'm just trying to fill that in a little bit. Yeah, you know, the paint that's on the trees where I smudged it, I'm finding that it doesn't really bother me all that much. I think it does add something. It's like shade or something. Okay, I'm feeling okay about this. This needs something here. I'm going to grab my black pen again, and I think I'm just trying to add more, I don't know what sort of definition to this river. I'm not sure that I really was very effective in creating a river here. And this is just the foliage by the river. I think I need that white again. The black is not doing it. Or maybe I'll switch to a Sharpie. I don't know. It sort of looks like there's a little bit of reflection here of this birch tree in the water, and reflection over here. It's not really what I had in my head to happen, but I think it's beginning to work for me. Okay, so under here I have my initials. I sort of accidentally wrote over them. And now I'm going to try and take off that rabbit. Well, my rabbit is missing a front leg. Let's see if I can draw my rabbit in with a black marker. Okay, this pen is not wanting to work. This is not unusual. Sometimes as you work on the alcohol ink, your marker will sort of bulk, and you just have to switch. Well, okay guys, I've got a rabbit in there. It's more of the hint of a rabbit than anything else, but there it is. Okay, I am going to consider this piece done. Oops, you can't see it that way. How about if I tilt this back up? And now there's something on the screen. I don't know how I get it to go away. This way. So here you see my finished piece, and I could add more to it. I could pixelate this more. These parts are really pixelated. You see where I sprayed the alcohol ink on it. It looks sort of dotted, and then this area over here is not. And I could spray it to make it look like the others, but I'm kind of liking it. Well, this is the end of this demonstration. I hope everybody had fun. Oh, see the little rabbit down there? Oops, wrong way. It's sort of weird looking at yourself in a video. So here we have it. I hope you had fun. If you do one, shoot a picture of it and post it on the Facebook where this link is. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.